Let's go actually with Earthly versus Sorellen.
Oh, fuck.
Two very strong contenders. Let's have a good round here.
Gonna be good.
So, your question is, what is more important? Being good looking or being smart? Somebody call a coin flip.
Tails.
Okay. It is tails. Earthly, first or second?
I'll go second.
Okay. Earthly electing to go second. Think about your answers, Sorellen, while I pin both of you. 1 minute 30 is up. Sorellen, your time begins now.
So when we look at the nature of what it means to be smart, we look at several different facets, right? Book smarts, experience, education, right? Things that you can gain throughout the course of life by simply having the various types of experiences and educations, right? By having a degree, by having the right jobs, by having the right experiences, by exposing yourself to the right environments and the right climates and the right people, right? Those are all things that are changeable. Those are all things which over time can improve, things which can be melded, and things which you can become good at after starting out being bad at, right? No one ever starts out being good at something. You start out being bad at something and then you improve on it. So if you look at what the nature of being smart is, it is something that is changeable over time that you can work towards through experience and effort. When you look at being good looking, that's a bit of a different story. That's something which is not easily changeable without some severe effort, right? You can start off being good looking and then work your way up to being smart by the classic definition through book smarts and experience and education. It's very difficult to start off being smart and end up good looking, right? It would be a much more convoluted chain that way. And I just, think that it's a lot easier to start off being good looking and then work your way up to being smart by having the right degrees, exposing yourself to the right experiences, reading the right articles, and moving forward, as a person, being a well-rounded, experienced person. So you can be good looking and end up smart. It's harder to go the other way around. I think it's much better to be good looking in the beginning. Just gives you a leg up.
All right. Sorellen arguing for good looking. Earthly. 1 minute 30 on the clock. Your time begins now.
So, when we're talking about whether it's more beneficial to be smart or good looking, I'd have to go with good looking, because something that Sorellen actually brought up that I think is really pertinent is that it takes a lot of access to certain things like education and all this other stuff to attain intelligence, and even then it's something that you have to put a lot of work into and compromise a lot for. But if you're just good looking, very naturally, conventionally attractive, that's going to confer you a lot of advantages in life that you didn't even really have to work for. So even though I would probably tend towards agreeing that there are certain values to having the ability to get a good education, all this other stuff, and all of those privileges, I think that being really good looking can be a great equalizer for some people if they luck out. So as an advantage, I would say that being just very conventionally attractive is just such a win-win, because it's not something that you do have to put some effort in to maintain that, but if you're bestowed with that, as long as you don't fuck it up, you're fine. It's not something you have to do a lot of work or study to attain, to only have varying amounts that you get out of it, depending on what field you can go into, or whether or not the degree you ended up paying a bunch of money for is even useful. Whereas if you are conventionally attractive, it confers you a lot of advantages in social situations.
Okay, so that's time. Earthly, she argued that good looking was better.
Wait, that was the what?
She argued that good looking was better.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
She
Can I get a redo then? Wait, fuck. Okay,
you have
we can redo that. I'm okay with redoing that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Earthly. Let's try that again with consent of the other debater. Let's run that back. 1 minute 30. Your time now begins again. Let's go.
So, despite the fact that it can be a little bit more difficult to attain education and the kinds of wisdom and intelligence that would get you further in life, but when you have practical skills And especially if you are privileged enough to be able to get a degree or like some sort of like scholarship for your academic excellence, that kind of thing, that can be massively rewarding. Like if you have what it takes to be able to get like a 4-year degree, the odds of like the average income that you're going to have just goes drastically up. It doesn't matter how physically attractive you are at that point, because like once you have that degree, you have your foot in the door and you can get all sorts of jobs and careers that you couldn't have otherwise. And also, like, there are a lot of disadvantages to being conventionally attractive that are almost kind of analogous to like stuff we were talking about earlier when it comes to having friends when you're like really rich. It's like sometimes like you might meet somebody and like you don't know if they just want to like fuck you or what, and it's like this weird like kind of ambiguous thing that kind of creeps into your social interactions and make you wonder like how much somebody might genuinely like you. Whereas like a skill like intelligence that stems from like something that you've studied, or like a skill you have is an attribute that you know that you can feel proud of, that you put work into, that when people respect that, it's like they're respecting something you did and they don't just like you for some weird superficial reason. So, yeah.
All right. With that, Sorellen, back over to you now. 1 minute 30. Your time begins now.
Okay, so my opponent just talked about the advantages of, being smart, right? Practical skills. It'll get you a degree, it'll get you a scholarship, it'll get you a higher average income. And, they also mentioned some disadvantages as being physically attractive, like being taken advantage of when you're physically attractive and you don't know whether the interactions around you may be, genuine or not, right? Well, that's completely true. But the reality of the situation is that if you were to ask any two sets of people, would you rather be attractive or unattractive? I think that the given poll of a public would be 98% towards one side, and I don't even need to mention which side that is, right? It's an overwhelming fact that the vast majority of the public would prefer to be attractive rather than unattractive. I don't think that's a disadvantage that we can really talk about. When we talk about the practical skills, like I mentioned earlier, right, you can go from one side to the other and not backwards, right? Or at least it's much more difficult to go backwards, right? Starting off being physically attractive, you still can gain those smarts, which make it easy for you to get, your higher income, your degree, your scholarship, but it's much harder to go the other way around. Simply put, starting off from the very beginning, being good looking at the beginning, it's easy to go to being smart by the conventional wisdom of having book smarts, experience, and a degree, and the right life experiences. And the other way around, I just can't say the same.
All right, Earthly. 1 minute 30. Back over to you. The last word. Your time begins now.
Yeah. So the first thing that I want to address is that like I think the fact that like most people would want to be attractive, I don't think this is much of a defeater or a counter argument, because I'm sure like you could poll people about whether they'd rather be like uneducated or like educated, and I'm sure you would get very similar results. So I don't really think that's much of a counter argument. The idea that attractive people can become smart, but smart people can't become attractive isn't necessarily true, because I'm a believer that most people can present themselves in such a way where even if they aren't like gifted with like a lot of conventional attractiveness, they can be like decent looking and put together and be attractive to somebody. Whereas intelligence is a little bit less subjective in that regard. Like if you have a certain skill set and you're this good at a certain thing, that's a very concrete thing that isn't dependent on like who you meet and like what their preferences are. So there's just like, there aren't as many workarounds to not being like educated and intelligent as there are to not being like super conventionally attractive. I think that, yeah, I mean, I guess I would kind of yield my time there.
Fair enough. 1 minute free form back and forth period between both of you. Your times begin now.
All right, what do you got? You're muted.
Sorry, I'm an idiot. That's not good.
Yeah, it wouldn't help if you were smart. Yeah. That would be a great advantage.
Sorry. Okay, I just wanted to point out that my opponent said that being attracted to, you can still be attracted to somebody, even if you're not conventionally attractive. But I just wanted to say that being attractive to somebody is not the same as being conventionally attractive. I'm reiterating the same point that at the end of the day, if you're not conventionally attractive, you're not conventionally attractive. That's just the reality of the situation. And you could easily put up a poll on whether the general public thinks you're conventionally attractive, right?
If you, like I said, like really like min-max how you fucking present yourself and how attractive you make yourself, you can confer some of those same advantages in a way that you probably couldn't if you were just like trying to like feign some type of intelligence. Because like that wouldn't get you like a career long-term that you can sustain if you're just like faking having some skill, whereas like just like presenting yourself well can like and going out and on a night can like confer you the like advantages that come with like being attractive.
And that
Much
is
more.
1 minute. That
Yeah.
is 1 minute. Yeah, I didn't do the prediction in time. I'm sorry. That's my bad. I need to get mods so I can just have them start running predictions. But I'll do it for the next round. We secured the last one. But we now move on to the poll. Please send your votes to its gapped, please, in the Zoom chat privately. 3 minutes on the clock. Vote in the poll. That is how you decide who wins these. So, with that, Gapped, let me know when everybody has sent their votes to you. Robbie, who did it better and why?
I feel like Sorellen hit the points. Really, all the nails got hit in right on the head. I agreed with largely everything that she said. What was the topic one more time? Sorry, guys.
Wait a minute.
All right, that's a
Wait a
nullified
minute.
vote.
Hold on.
What the fuck?
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Okay.
It was whether
Remind me
it's
of the
better to be good looking or better to be
Oh
smart.
yeah, no, okay, yeah, no, because it is easier to actually. Sorry, I have early onset Alzheimer's. Excuse me. So it's actually easier to be good looking and then get smarts. I think that's better. Like she was saying, that really actually played to me because I feel like I am sort of congenially good looking and it hasn't really helped me personally in life. So that personally played to me, that argument. And so right on, yeah, you can be sort of good looking and get smarts, and then that helps check off a few more qualifications for you. I'm really sorry about that. My bad, Meta. I just had to talk to my boyfriend, had to go pee, and terrible timing on my behalf. I'm sorry.
All right, it's good. You're good. Let's move on. Miff, who did it better?
So honestly, I didn't really care for either argument, but I ended up voting for Earthly, but I will say I think I voted for Earthly because I think Sorellen had an impossible argument in my mind. I think the conventions of attractiveness are changeable, they are malleable, and they change over time. So our conventions of attractiveness in the 21st century are very different than at the turn of the 20th century. So people who would have found themselves attractive 100 years ago are no longer attractive to the general public. And yes, there's something to be said for like bone structure and things like that, clear skin, nice body, fit body, healthy body, whatever. But I think that intelligence as a whole is something that is kind of intangible and is something that you possess. And there are certain demarcations of intelligence that are not something you can gain for yourself. They are innate capabilities of a person.
All right.
And I think Earthly made a good enough argument close to that made sense.
Okay. Odin, who did it better?
I actually think that Sorellen actually did better, mostly because of the fact that it is a lot easier for you to, be attractive and then gain knowledge through education. And then you have even better chances during your life. And then there's also things like plastic surgery if you're not conventionally attractive that go wrong. So it's easier for you to be attractive and then gain knowledge than it is to be intelligent and then go and get plastic surgery where it could go wrong.
Okay. Fair enough. Moving on. Justice, who did it better?
I think that Earthly did it better, and while both people did do this to some degree, I didn't like the argument of, it's easy to, if you're attractive, you can just become smart, because that's basically copping out and going, both is better. Yeah, both is better. The prompt is you only have one. Which would you go with? So, I just think Sorellen tried to go for the argument of getting both a little bit more than Earthly did. So that's why I went with Earthly.
All right. Germanic Ogre, who did it better? You are muted.
Dear Lord, sorry. So it's an extremely hard argument to make. Earthly made a lot of really good points, but I felt like Sorellen kind of hammered home on. Everybody's already talked about it. I felt like Sorellen hammered home a little bit better. Like as Odin was mentioning, I would have definitely gone for the ability to change the conventional looks, plastic surgery, things like that. That being said, having the foundation that's stronger and already being kind of good looking is a lot easier than gaining the book smart. So, but yeah, I voted for Strelin.
Okay, Aaron, who did it better?
I don't know how to verbalize this exactly, but I voted for Sorellen. I don't know how to verbalize why exactly. I don't think they were the strongest arguments, kind of what Myth said for the most part. But I whereas like Myth had seen Earthly edge out Sorellen, I saw a little bit of the opposite way. So it was like, it's a bad art rationalization. Sorry.
All right. Well, with that and chat vote of 86%, Sorellen does take the round. Congratulations to Sorellen for being the first winner of round 2. If you believe that Earthly deserves a second chance,